Namaskar there, very good evening and welcome to the news at 6. I'm Tracy Shilshi and in the next 30 minutes we'll be looking at the top developing stories of the day, starting with the headlines. GST Council cuts tax rates on a wide range of mass use items from chewing gum to detergents to 18% from the current 28%. Tax rate effectively cut on as many as 177 goods. Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister holds meeting at Niti Aayog, spells out roadmap for stepping up skill development, job creation and boosting infrastructure financing, among other things. No respite from the toxic smog for New Delhi. National Green Tribunal questions Delhi government's car rationing scheme, seeks undertaking that the scheme will be rolled out only when the particulate matter 2.5 is over 300. And it's a thumbs up for the Indian economy and Prime Minister Modi from US President Donald Trump. The US President commends India for being the world's largest democracy and for achieving astounding growth under Modi. Top story this evening, the GST Council on Friday reduced tax rate on a wide range of mass use items. As it's at its 23rd meeting in Guwahati, the all-powerful council pruned the list of items, attracting the top 28% tax rate to just 50 from the 227 items previously. In effect, the rates were cut on 177 goods, following which items like chewing gum, chocolates, facial makeup, shaving and other aftershave items, shampoo, deodorants, washing powder, detergent, granite and marble will attract only 18% tax rate. Luxury goods like washing machines, air conditioners, paints and cement have been retained at 28% though. Now the GST Council's decision is expected to have a revenue implication of about 20,000 crores annually. During the meeting, the Council also looked at the most comprehensive overhaul of rates, easing the filing of returns and providing more relief to small and medium enterprises.
फिटमेंट कमेटी ने 62 वस्तुओं को 18% की श्रेणी में रखने की अनुशंसा की थी, लेकिन आज एक आम सहमति बनी और जिसमें और 12 वस्तुओं को 18% की श्रेणी में रखा गया है। यानी अब केवल 50 वस्तुएं बच गई हैं, खास करके जो लग्जरी गुड्स हैं जैसे एयर कंडीशनर, फ्रिज हैं, वॉशिंग मशीन्स हैं या फिर वैसी चीज़ें जिन पर पहले भी 30% टैक्स लगता था, तो वैसी चीज़ों को छोड़कर बाकी अधिकांश चीज़ें जो हैं वो 18% की श्रेणी में आ गई हैं।
टैक्स रेट तो 1 जुलाई से पहले कम रखने चाहिए थे। और मैं हर मीटिंग में बोलता रहा हूँ कि 28% का टैक्स रेट का मतलब है कि आप ब्लैक मार्केटिंग को बढ़ावा देना चाहते हो। जितना जल्दी कम कर दें उतना अच्छा है।
The second meeting of the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister was held today. The meeting, chaired by Niti Aayog member and Council Chairman Bibek Debroy, spelled out a clear roadmap for stepping up skill development, job creation and enhanced resource investment in the social sector. The Council deliberated upon improvements needed in national accounts and innovative steps to unlock growth, exports and the employment potential of growth drivers, including transformation of India's gold market. The meeting also called for efforts to boost infrastructure financing and formulate far-reaching recommendations for the 15th Finance Commission. The Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council was meeting for the second time since 11th of October. In the first meeting, the Council identified focus areas like economic growth, employment, informal sector, economic governance, agriculture, consumption and the social sector. In another one of our headline stories, the National Green Tribunal on Friday questioned the Delhi government's decision to roll out the odd-even car rationing scheme for 5 days starting from Monday. It directed the city government not to implement the scheme unless it can establish that it was not counterproductive. Meanwhile, the smog situation in the national capital region showed a slight improvement on Friday. Reprimanding the Delhi government for waking up so late to curb air pollution, the National Green Tribunal said that the odd-even scheme cannot be implemented randomly. It said the Aam Aadmi Party government is resorting to the odd-even scheme despite it being called ineffective. It also questioned the state government as to why it was exempting two-wheelers and women drivers. The NGT also told the Delhi government to give an undertaking that it will roll out odd-even only when particulate matter levels are over 300. In a related development, the NGT also pulled up the Punjab government for the lack of measures to tackle crop burning.
सबसे बड़ा सवाल है जो सुविधाएं हमारे पास हैं। आज हमें दिल्ली में बिजली की हम उपलब्धता सुनिश्चित कराएं, 24 घंटे बिजली आएगी तो जनरेटर अपने आप चलने बंद हो जाएंगे। कंस्ट्रक्शन साइटों पर हम कहें उनको कवर कर या कहें गार्बेज जलाना, अभी पिछले दिनों आपने देखा गार्बेज जलने से कितना जबरदस्त पॉल्यूशन हुआ था। हमें उस व्यवस्था को ठीक करना पड़ेगा, जनरेटर बंद करने होंगे, ईंटों के भट्टों को बंद करना होगा। हमें ड्राई मॉपिंग की बजाय हमें मैकेनाइज्ड मॉपिंग करनी पड़ेगी। कितने वाहन खरीदे गए दिल्ली के लिए मैकेनाइज्ड मॉपिंग करने के लिए? ये सवाल जो हम कर सकते हैं वो करना चाहिए, बजाय इसके कि हम कोई ऐसे लोक लुभावन सुझाव दे दें जिनका कोई समाधान ही ना हो।
The various causes of this problem, one of them is of course vehicular pollution, the other is the pollution from stubble burning in the neighboring states or from areas around Delhi. Now, instead of tackling those issues seriously through the year, what we find is that nothing is done through the year by the government, and just when the crisis hits us, then this kind of tokenism or this showy solutions like odd even are trotted out.
A bench headed by NGT chairperson Justice Swatantra Kumar directed the Delhi government to submit the details of the ambient air quality during the earlier implementation of the odd-even scheme. The government is expected to present in court on Saturday without the support of the centre.
Delhi air is unfit for human habitation. It's causing unmeasurable, it's causing immense amount of damage to lung health, to our heart, to our brain, and to every part of the body. It's going to shorten the life of each and every person who's breathing this toxic air.
Earlier, the Delhi government had also announced free travel for commuters in all DTC cluster buses during the odd-even scheme. The national capital is experiencing severe air quality as pollution levels breach permissible standards by multiple times. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. In other news, the Centre's Special Representative to Jammu and Kashmir, Dineshwar Sharma, met representatives of several Kashmiri Pandit organizations in Jammu today. The Kashmiri Pandit group sought an institutional mechanism for the welfare of the displaced community. On the last day of his 5-day visit to the state, Sharma also held meetings with members of the Chambers of Commerce and other trade bodies in the state. Reaching out to all stakeholders in the state, he also met various other groups and civil society delegations. Dineshwar Sharma arrived in Jammu for a 2-day visit after spending 3 days in Srinagar, where he met various civil society groups and delegations of political parties.
आज इंटरलोक्यूटर जो दिनेश्वर शर्मा जी हैं उनसे मुलाकात हमारी हुई है और पैंथर्स पार्टी की तरफ से हमने उनको मेमोरेंडम दिया है।
बीपीओज और मदर इंडस्ट्रीज को जम्मू में लगाई जाए, क्योंकि कश्मीर के लोग भी अगर हम देखें तो वो जम्मू में बड़ा कंफर्टेबल फील करते हैं। हमें लगता है कि एक कंसिस्टेंट पॉलिसी लॉन्ग टर्म जम्मू रियासत जम्मू कश्मीर पे जो मिसिंग थी वो उस तरफ एक प्रक्रिया शुरू हो चुकी है।
Karnataka is celebrating Tipu Jayanti amid special security arrangements to mark the birth anniversary of the 18th century ruler of the Mysore Kingdom. With a sharply divided opinion over Tipu's legacy, the rising political temperature and opposition BJP, several Hindu organizations and individuals oppose the Karnataka government celebrating Tipu Jayanti through statewide protests. The Karnataka government said that over 54,000 police personnel, 20,000 home guards and 212 platoons of the Karnataka State Reserve Police have been deployed. In Bengaluru alone, 11,000 policemen were deployed. Prohibitory orders have also been imposed at certain places in Belagavi and Chitradurga districts. Meanwhile, in Mangaluru, BJP District Minority Morcha President Franklin Montero, who tried to break the security cordon and forcefully enter the premises, was placed under arrest. President Ramnath Kovind, during his address to a joint session of the Karnataka legislature, hailed Tipu, saying that he died a heroic death fighting the British. And here's a look at what else made news across the country today in Nationwide. The Supreme Court today refused to consider a plea seeking to ban the release of Sanjay Leela Bhansali's controversial Padmavati epic drama featuring Deepika Padukone as a Rajput queen. Clarifying on the allegations, director Bhansali said that the film does not have any scene which will hurt the sentiments of any religious or social group. The Supreme Court today refused to entertain a plea seeking minority status for Hindus in several states. The Apex Court asked petitioner Ashwini Kumar Upadhyay to approach the National Commission for Minorities. It stated that minority rights are being drawn off illegally and arbitrarily to the majority population, as neither the centre nor the state has notified Hindus as a minority under the National Commission of Minorities Act 1992. Income Tax Department raids continued at the premises of Tamil television channel Jaya TV for the second day in a row. A massive raid was held at 187 places, including Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Delhi and Bengaluru, with the help of around 1,800 IT officials. Sources said they are investigating complaints about shell companies, dubious investments, fund flow and fudging of accounts by Jaya TV. With a quick break here, up next, we'll get you the top international stories. Stay with us.
Rajo Ki Baoli, located in Mehroli, is considered the most ornamental of Baolis in the national capital. It was built by Daulat Khan during the reign of Sikandar Lodi in 1516. Rajo refers to masons who used it. The entire structure is subterranean, so only the topmost story is visible as the visitor approaches. Walk towards its steps and each lower level slowly reveals itself. The top floor has a row of arched niches. There are 3 levels going down with 66 steps. The Baoli complex has a 12-pillar tomb and a mosque with plaster decoration on it. Carved brackets support the chhajja below the parapet. There are rooms behind this arcade, meant for shade and shelter for visitors. The Baoli combines Islamic architecture with hints of Hindu engravings and geometric designs.
The alarming levels of air pollution in the national capital region.
We need to take the harsh measures, which includes curbs on diesel vehicles.
It is true that pollution is not nowhere close to the being on the political agendas of the national political parties.
In this segment, we will analyze the impact of rising crude oil prices on the Indian economy.
To allow retail prices to rise to match the rise in international crude prices, then we invite an inflationary spike.
Much bigger push to energy efficiency, which is happening, whether it's the LED bulbs or we have energy star rating of appliances.
Welcome back. International news. And US President Donald Trump sent out a strong message on trade at a meeting of Asia-Pacific countries in Vietnam on Friday, insisting on fair and equal trade policies. He also had a word of praise for Prime Minister Modi and India's performance as a fast-growing economy. Here's a report. The Indian economy and Prime Minister Modi got an unexpected thumbs up from US President Donald Trump during his address at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in Vietnam. Trump commended India for being the world's largest democracy and for achieving astounding growth under Prime Minister Modi.
Since India opened its economy, it has achieved astounding growth and a new world of opportunity for its expanding middle class. And Prime Minister Modi has been working to bring that vast country and all of its people together as one. And he is working at it very, very successfully indeed.
Stressing on his America First policy, Trump said that the United States would no longer tolerate chronic trade abuses and would insist on fair and equal trade policies.
The United States will no longer turn a blind eye to violations, cheating, or economic aggression. Those days are over. We will no longer tolerate the audacious theft of intellectual property. We will confront the destructive practices of forcing businesses to surrender their technology to the state and forcing them into joint ventures in exchange for market access.
Since taking office, President Trump has pulled the US out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a major trade deal with 12 APEC member countries, arguing it would hurt US economic interests. In stark contrast, China's Xi Jinping said that globalization was irreversible and voiced support for multilateralism. He also claimed that the One Belt, One Road project will provide the Asia-Pacific region with a broader and more vigorous cooperation platform.
当前经济全球化进程遭遇逆风，一个重要原因是发展的包容性不足。
After attending the APEC summit, Trump paid a state visit to the Vietnamese capital, Hanoi. He is now in the Philippines and will end his 12-day Asian tour on the 13th of November. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Meanwhile, a day after US Defense Secretary Jim Mattis claimed that the US is working with NATO and India to ensure that there are no terrorist safe havens in Pakistan, there is more pressure being put on Islamabad. Backing President Trump's new South Asia policy, US congressional leaders on Friday asked the Pentagon to demonstrate to Pakistan the consequences of continued support to terrorists. The bipartisan group of congressional leaders also urged the Department of Defense to closely monitor US security assistance to Pakistan and ensure that the country does not use it to support terrorist groups. On Thursday, US Defense Secretary had said that the US wants to make sure there are no terrorist safe havens in Pakistan and is working with all NATO members and India to make Islamabad do everything to cut the insurgents off. With that, let's take you through some more updates from across the world in Global Buzz. Dozens more were taken into custody by Saudi authorities, bringing the number of detained to 201 in a sweep that has uncovered at least $100 billion in corruption. The sweep came at a time of increased tensions between Saudi Arabia and its main regional rival, Iran, and a newly erupting political crisis in Lebanon. Saudi critics and experts call the unprecedented purge of top princes and businessmen a bold and risky move by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, which aimed at consolidating power as he keeps an eye on the throne. German parties continued talks to try to form a conservative, liberal green coalition government. While Chancellor Angela Merkel did not comment, a vice chairman of a CDU party said that in order to avoid problems in a later coalition government, it was important not to whitewash something which ultimately was bound to fail. Bavarian State Premier Horst Seehofer, who is also the leader of the Christian Social Union, said that an overall majority of the population expected a stable government and participants of the talks were aiming to achieve that. A Spanish judge freed the Catalan parliament speaker and 4 lawmakers on bail while the authorities continue to investigate their leading roles in Catalonia's banned independence drive. The Supreme Court summoned them to answer charges of rebellion after they enabled the declaration of independence that prompted Spanish government to dissolve the Catalan parliament and sack the regional administration. Speaker Carme Forcadell will be held in custody until she pays the €150,000 bail, and the 4 lawmakers must pay a bail of €25,000, while a 5th was released without bail. With that, let's take you through the updates coming in from the world of sports in SportsBeat. Former Indian cricketer A.G. Milkha Singh passed away at the age of 75 following a cardiac arrest at a hospital in Chennai. He played 4 test matches in the early 60s, and his elder brother Kirpal Singh also played for the country. The left-hander made his Ranji Trophy debut at the age of 17 and played his first test at 18. He made 4,000 runs in first-class cricket, which includes 8 centuries. Croatia moved closer to 2018 FIFA World Cup qualification after thrashing Greece 1-4-1 in their first leg playoff match. Luka Modric scored the opener for Croatia through a penalty kick as Greek keeper Orestis Karnezis scored and touched on the striker Nikola Kalinic in the 13th minute. Kalinic then scored the second goal to give Croatia a 2-0 lead. But Greece covered it just after the second goal as Greece defender Sokratis Papastapoulos scored the first goal for his side to make it 2-1. Ivan Perisic headed Croatia's third, and Andrej Kamaric then scored Croatia's fourth to seal the victory. Swiss tennis player Roger Federer was named the ATP Comeback Player of the Year at a ceremony in London. Federer, who won 2 Grand Slams in 2017, said that he felt he shared the award with Rafael Nadal, who has also won 2 Grand Slams. Federer and Nadal are the top 2 players of the ATP World Tour Finals, while Federer is in the group with Germany's debutant Alexander Zverev, Croatia's Marin Cilic and American Jack Sock. Nadal will face Belgian David Goffin, Bulgaria's debutant Grigor Dimitrov and Austria's Dominic Thiem. American tennis player Venus Williams arrived at her lawyer's office to give a deposition related to the fatal car crash that killed an elderly man in June. Williams faces a wrongful death lawsuit from the family of Jerome Barson, who died from injuries sustained in the crash on 9th of June in Florida. The Palm Beach Gardens Police Department previously released police surveillance video footage, which showed that Williams entered the intersection lawfully. And finally, a superstar lineup, including Lionel Messi and Zinedine Zidane, unveiled the Telstar ball, the official ball to be used at the 2018 World Cup. The Telstar has an embedded near-field communication chip, which enables interaction with it using a smartphone. This will be the first time in football history that this technology will be embedded in a ball for the World Cup. We're leaving you with these visuals.